consultor, Roma et imperator, eras vera ad astra, verar tua ad astra, exurgebars consultor, Roma et imperator, viribus unitis semper fidelis, summus Illinae Capitolinae, viribus unitis semper fidelis, summus Illinae Capitolinae.
Salvete vos, salvete mane bene. I'm John Coleman from ApocatastasisInstitute, an institute for the humanities and alternative college and high school here on New Milford, Connecticut, USA. This broadcast is a regular look at Ecce Romani here at the Institute. And we offer Greek and Latin online and in person if you're able to make it to Connecticut on an introductory level, and we offer formal courses in Latin on an introductory and intermediate and an advanced level. And a good way to get your feet wet with our language programs is to drop in on Tuesdays. This semester, the autumn of 2025, we are alternating between Greek and Latin week by week, Greek and Latin, and we get through little stories and novellas. Now, what we're going to look at here is something much more akin to what you will get in class should you enroll formally. On Tuesdays, we have a nice, fun ambulation through, here's a little book on Julius Caesar, Idus Martiae. Let's see here. Here's a time-traveling story in Latin. Here's one about a funny clock, a horrible funny clock. The Tuesday sessions are very informal, and they're certainly free, and the purpose is to give you a flavor, a feeling, if Latin is good for you and a good study, or Greek, as the case may be. In time, please God, will offer Arabic in a similar fashion. However, this is, like I say, more of what to expect when, please God, you enroll in classes. And you can find out all about Apocatastasis down below in the description or by going through the self-same link on the ticker on the screen here. So what we're going to do for this recording is briefly review this. We went through this translation-wise last week. We're not going to bog down. We're just going to quickly go over this. And then we're going to spend some time on exercitio vincente acto a responde latina. So we're going to do the response questions to this. Now, whenever we're translating, whether we're going to go in depth like we did last time around, or more more superficially in order to get to the exercise, and this is more of just shaking off the rust. In any case, you always want to read through it first and then go back. Because we've done this, we'll do just that, but we won't really bog down in the grammar like we did. Here we go. Preparing to go shopping. And by the way, this beautiful bookmark and many of its similar brothers and sisters can be purchased at our school store, available at our website. Here we go. Mani erat. It was morning. Aurelia in cubiculo sedebat. And excuse me, I'm not going to translate right now. I'm just going to say this. Crinies ecus coraban duo encire, quarum altera specurum tenebat, altera crinies pectebant. Frigria quae crinies negligenter pectebat, dominam vexebant. Sira quad manus tremebat, speculum non bene tenebat. Aurelia igitur negligentia earum vexata subito. Quam negligentis estes cramavit, abite vocate Corneliam, aecam mecum in urbe ducere volo. Statum exerunt ancile, mox in cubiculum initie Cornelia, cur me vocaste me mater. Aurelia respondit. Pater tuos amicos costam in quibus sunt senatoris preclare, cenam odie invitavit. Porcum servus iam emit, sed ego in animo habio ipsa in urbam ire ad mercatorum, quendam huius taberna non procur avest. Non gliris optimus illi vendere solet, si tu vis mecum ire me in atrio expecta. Interia servus iubebo, celas ad Januam fere. Tuatum Domine miserere nobis. Okay. So quickly to translate, it was morning. Aurelia was sitting in the bedroom. Her hair was being taken care of by two slave girls, one of which was holding a mirror, another of whom was combing her hair. Friglia, who was negligently combing the hair, was annoying the mistress. Sira, because her hand was trembling, was not holding the mirror well. Therefore, Aurelia, annoyed by their negligence, immediately shouted, "How negligent y'all are!" as an ejaculation. How negligent, she shouted at it. Abite, go away. Vocate Cornelium, call Cornelia. Her with me, I want to take into the city. Again, we're not spending time on the specific grammar like we did last time, as we will in the future. This is just to get us to the exercise. Statum exerunt ancire. Immediately, the two slave girls, or the slave girls plural, they left. Cubiculum mox in cubiculum initie Cornelia. Soon into the bedroom came Cornelia. Cur me vocaste me, mater? Why did you call me, mother? Aurelia responded. Pater tuos amicus costam, your father, certain of his friends, who are famous senators, ad cenam odie invitavit, has invited to dinner today. Porcum servus iam emit. The slave is now buying a pig. Sed ego in animo habio ipsa in urbam ire ad mercatorum quendam huius taberna non procur. But I am intending myself to go into the city to a certain merchant whose store is not far away, for nam glires optimus iri vendere soret, for he is known to sell the best dormice. And dormice are just what they sound like, little mice, small enough they could fit under your door, although it's spelled D-O-R in English. Dormice, they were a Roman specialty, glires. Si tu vis mecum ire, if you want to come with me, me in atrio expecta, expect me in the atrium, into the mudroom, we'll say. Interia servos iubebo seras ad Januam fere. Meanwhile, I will command the slaves to bring my the sedan chairs. Those are the chairs with two sticks that slaves put on their shoulders and carry you around with. That's a sedan. You know, like a car, a sedan. That's a sedan. A sedan car is named after the ancient chair on sticks. Yanuam, to bring it to the door. All right, we have that. We've done that briefly. And here are new words. We don't need to concern ourselves in these brief presentations. Of course, in class, you will study these much more systematically. What we're concerned with for the balance of this broadcast is exercitio vingente octo a. Responde latine. Once again, we're going to say these once or twice before we translate them, and then always grabbing an opportunity to say the numbers and perhaps play around with Mathematica, our math. Not because this is a math class, but because we can play with more complicated numbers. So once again, take every opportunity. Don't say exercise 28, say exercitio vingente octo. Unus, duo, tres, quattro, quinque, sex, septem, octo, reversa. Octo, septem, sex, quinque, quattro, tres, duo, unus. Nicile Anglica est 0. In mathematica, quid est unus plus tres? Unus plus tres est quatuor. Quid est octo minus septem? Octo minus septem est unus. And you can have some fun there. You could add all sorts of things. Just try to use the numbers as well. Anyhow, let's get into our reading response questions. Quid faceban due in Chile? And we're not just translating the question, but we have to answer it in Latin as well. So what were the two slave girls doing? In a full sentence, due in Chile facebant, or rather, we don't even need this verb, due in Chiles adjuva, I would say adjuvabant Aureliam. They were helping Aurelia. Of course, the way these are going to be phrased might change, right? You could say different things, right? You could say one slave girl was, pectabat speculum et una ancira erat temebat crinies, or whatever. I kind of flip things there. One was holding the hair, the other one, yeah. Anyway, you have options here, just as long as the answers in the ballpark is what you're after. Duo, quam abcausen Phrygia Aureliam vexabat. For what reason did Phrygia in the nominative was annoying Aurelia in the accusative? For what reason? Phrygia vexabat Aureliam quia. And we have to go up here. I won't keep moving the book, but Phrygia was negligently combing the hair, so I would want to say this in Latin. So Phrygia crinius negligentur pectebant crinius Aureliae. She was negligently combing Aurelia's hair. You want to put that in the genitive. The hair is the hair of Aurelia. Okay, tres. Quab ab causam sira speculum non bene. And then they tell us of, what sometimes they have to add a new word here. So quad, they give us that. And we see here it's translated for what reason? For what reason? And so quam ab causam, for what reason? Sira speculum non bene tenebat. Sira speculum non bene tenebat quad in anxiety Aureliae, because she was in anxiety for Aurelia, or she was dreading Aurelia. Quatuor, quocum Aurelia in urbe ire volt. How does Aurelia want to go into the city? Aurelia in urbem ire volt in sella ipsa. Aurelia wants to go in her sedan chair. Actually, excuse me, this is quocum, with whom. So cum Cornelia Aurelia in urbem ire volt, excuse me. So this is who. So Aurelia wants to go with her daughter Cornelia. Quos ad cenam Cornelius invitavit. To whom did Cornelius, the husband, invite to dinner? The daughter is Cornelia, if that's not too confusing. But that was the Roman practice. Women up until almost the Dominate phase in the 3rd century, Roman women did not typically have proper names. They just had the feminine version of their father's names. Even if there were multiple sisters, they would just be called like John 1, John 2, or Joanna 1, Joanna 2, Joanna 3. Anyhow, who did Cornelius invite? Cornelius invitat senatores, how did she say? Preclaris, famous senators, foremost senators, perhaps we can say. Sex. Quid servus iam emit? What was the servant now buying? Servus iam emit glires. The slave was now buying dormice. Septem. Quid Aurelia emere vot. What did Aurelia want to buy? Oh no, excuse me. Servus iam emit porcum. The slave wanted to buy a pig. Aurelia emere volt glires. It was Aurelia who wanted to buy the little dormice for the appetizers. And ultimus octo. Quid Aurelius servus facere iubebit. What did Aurelius command the slaves to do? Aurelia servus facere prebere or fere celas ad Januam. She commanded the slave girls to bring the sedan chair, or rather, probably not the slave girls, the servos, not the anchilas. She invited the slave men, servos, to bring the sedan chair to the door, to the Janua, right? January, the first month, the doorway month of the year. So there we go. These girls had ran away beforehand. These ladies had ran away from their mistress when they got the chance there. All right, so there we go. Exercitio venginte octo a. I went a little bit fast here, certainly with the translation. And of course, in class, we spend a bit more time on how we get to those answers. But this sort of exercise and translation is what you can expect in class. Next time, as I move the marker, little cute little post-it note here. Next time that we meet for these morsels of Latin, these Latine massae, that's a Latin word for nugget, we'll get into some grammar. So not so much with the exercises as with the grammar, which is the next section here of this chapter 28 of volume 2. So we're going to put our post-it note conveniently there. And I'm going to say, gratias ago tibi nam audens Miki. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you especially for considering enrolling formally in Apocatastasis, perhaps in one of our Latin classes. For now, I wish you salute et valete.